Hello and welcome to the 61st episode of the Accountant's Success Secrets podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Lee of Bookmark Lee. I'm a mentor, speaker and debunker.
And I'm Philippa Haynes of Insight 101, supporting you to stand out. Each week on the podcast, we showcase another experienced accountant or bookkeeper who we think can inspire and encourage other accountants and bookkeepers in practice around the UK.
We both recognise that every accountant and bookkeeper is unique and distinct. They have different backgrounds, experiences and reasons for starting and building their practices.
So we ask them to share their stories, including the highs and the lows and what they've learned along the way. We look to explore the things that make them different in terms of their background, their successes, their failures and their focus.
Our aim is to provide some fundamental insights for you, our loyal listener. And if you'd like to share your story in a similar way, do please get in touch with Philippa or me. We're now taking bookings into August.
We are. So today is our 50th interview. We are delighted to introduce Paula Tomlinson, who is an FCA and CTA. Paula started on the spot in 2008 after gaining over 20 years experience, partly in practice and partly running the finances in a 4 billion turnover group of companies. Now based in Horsham in Sussex, Paula has built up quite a team and, as we'll hear later, is doing something unique and distinct from any of our previous interviews. That's quite fitting for a celebratory 50th interview.
Absolutely. And thank you for not stumbling where my typing is not.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Oh, well done. You are a pro. We won't even mention it. Welcome, Paula. What would you like to add before we get into the interview?
I think that's fine for now. Thank you very much, both.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, right. So before we start, we must thank our sponsor, Pinnacle Global, a trusted outsourcing partner with well over 150 clients across the UK and Ireland. Pinnacle's CEO, Mayank Pandya, is a chartered accountant based in London, and he has a passion to encourage innovation and excellence in the accounting profession. Pinnacle it has offices in the UK and offshore delivery centres across India, employing over 300 high-quality staff. With a strong focus on quality assurance, Pinnacle has helped many UK accounting firms to scale their capacity and operations. So to find out more, please visit www.pinnacleoss.co.uk. You'll also find the link online wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Also supporting the podcast is the Tax Advice Network. Their website enables accountants to choose specific specialist tax advisors for general tax support or for help across any of over 100 areas of tax. It's free to use. You just pay the tax advisor that you choose after agreeing terms with them. Go take a look at their website, findataxadvisor.online, where you can also register to get their free weekly tax tips, which are written especially for general practitioner accountants.
Right, let's get back to Paula now. As you know, we aim to keep the podcast to around 30 minutes. We do that by focusing on a few discussion points. And Mark, you can kick off.
Right, so can we go back to the start, Paula? How did you come to set up your own accounting practice and how did you get your first clients?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, did the Big Four and the training in London and the big corporate thing. We all know family members, friends who run small businesses, and they just didn't seem very happy with the accountants that they were using. I'd come to the end of my time, I felt, in corporate, another monthly management set of accounts that no one liked, and you got blamed if the profit would have gone down. And I thought, yeah, okay, so time to go. And I did the blank sheet of paper thing. Said, okay, well, asked, what is it that these small businesses want and need? And the themes are, they want a chartered accountant who understands what makes them tick and their business tick. So they want the same person. They want a fixed fee. ideally, most of the time. They don't really care where you are. So this was all pre-COVID. It wasn't, they don't want to pay for an office. And they want that trusted business advisor thing that, it's a phrase that is banded around. So I thought, well, how hard can that be? I must be able to do that thing. So decided to just go it alone, and every time I did something, I made it a repeatable thing. So that's the franchising story to come. But I went out and about and just found business groups to network in, and just spoke to people, listened to people. Very quickly learned that actually the listening bit is the most important bit. And just kind of made friends with business owners along the way. I did have the benefit of not having to earn money immediately. I'd put some money aside, not because I've got a fairy godmother, but just because I'd put some money aside to keep me going. And so I could take my time a little bit to really not rush into things and do it perhaps appear too rushed. I could come across as a kind of experienced chartered accountant, got time to listen to that business owner and help them. And one thing led to another. I reckon by the time you get your first 10 clients, you've done so much legwork and setup work by then. The rest just takes care of itself. And you get referrals more than anything else. So I think if you get that kind of bedrock done well, with the right sort of clients that you are after, that plays to your strengths, the rest does follow. And as we know, we have a year end every year and a tax year end every year. So you've got repeat business built in.
That is wonderful, and there's a number of key takeaways there for anybody else thinking of starting a practice or struggling having started one. And sadly, we know there's plenty of accountants like that around. I'm curious though, just going back to the start again, having been in practice at BDO and KPMG and then worked in a large corporate. Did you have to learn a lot new in order to be able to service those smaller local business clients?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yes, I basically read a lot. I did my research on the tax area more than anything, but obviously accounting standards are different as well. But I just looked at loads of different sources of information, subscribed to taxation, etc., and just pulled it all together and realized that this is the way to advise small businesses. So it was a lot of legwork, a lot of groundwork. Yes, and I knew it would be different, but once you're in it and you keep doing it, obviously after that it's all fine. But yes, there was definitely a lot of setup work from that point of view.
And I think some of what I've learned as well. So I come from corporate too. And it's the language you use, isn't it? And, we all use acronyms and stuff, which actually you realise that small businesses, they just don't use that sort of language, and they don't really know what you're talking about. And that's not meant to, to be offensive. It's just that they don't. And so you have to start pulling back the layers, don't you? And trying to just be really clear.
And I think if you understand something, if we understand what we're doing really well, and obviously on the more technical front, the tax side of things, if we understand the rule that we're trying to explain, and then force ourselves to talk in words of one syllable with no acronyms and jargon, that works. But we have to make sure that we fully understand something, because I think it follows a lot more easily. I think it's very easy to copy and paste tax rules, especially from somewhere else, which is also full of jargon. So I very much focus on understanding and making sense of these complicated areas. But yes, it's easy when we're talking with each other, we're going to resort to jargon because we know each other, understands it. But small businesses are desperate to understand things. And I mean, I had one of my first clients, she said, I give my spreadsheet to the accountant and then I'm just told to pay this tax and I have no idea where it comes from. No one explains anything to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And I felt so sorry for her.
Yeah. So how have things progressed then? Because I mean, 2008. I mean, that
Yeah.
sort of, that sounds quite a long time these days, doesn't it?
Hiding the grey
Depressingly.
hair as well.
Yeah. I mean, how have you sort of? Are you where you expected to be? Did you have
Yes.
that kind of vision? And then, of course, there are twists and turns, and suddenly,
Yeah.
you're not at all what you expected.
Well, I did. At the very beginning, I decided I was going to franchise it, so I did do the repeat documents and built up a load of documents, and they have escalated. But I want to be able to.
For that, was there a reason
Sorry?
you decided? Was there a reason that you decided to go franchise?
I'd heard of franchising, and there were people in the family who were franchisees.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so I was familiar with it.
Right.
I read about it in the famous E-Myth book, which I think has come up
Yes.
in
Yep.
in another podcast. I thought that was quite interesting. And I was fascinated that it said basically, I think the message was you can franchise anything if you put your mind to it. But what I liked was the alignment with the franchisee business owner and the business owner they're advising. So it kind of keeps everything lined up there. So the person delivering the service has got to do a good job. They've always got to do the best job they can in order to deliver to that client in the best way. And there's no kind of watering down in between. And I like that kind of immediacy there, so that the business owner feels like he's got someone who's going through similar things to him or her.
Yeah. So are you
But
now, I mean, this is just my brain. Are you now working yourself as an accountant within your own office, but then you've got franchisees around you? How does it work? So just for my
Yeah,
simple
no,
brain.
it's a good point. Well, I built up my client base, obviously. Then after it was my third year, I signed up my first franchisee once I'd got
Yeah.
something to offer. And I was getting too busy, actually, at that point. It was all getting too much. I needed a franchisee very quickly. What's the plan has always been to then not take on any new clients, and build up the number of franchisees and reduce the number of clients. And that, because you've not taken on new clients, that's fine. Obviously, clients leave just because they retire or they sell. If those just normal life events mean that they will drift off gradually. So I've had this sort of movement going on. So I still got a few clients, about 20 clients to look after, but it's quite good. And then, of course, the franchise. So I spend most of my time looking after franchisees now. But it is quite good to still look after some clients, and I couldn't bear to pass them on to anybody. The connection is too strong and too long. And I think it helps me deliver to the franchisees, though, because it does keep me in touch with what is going on out there. I think, again, I might become a bit too removed if I didn't have any clients. So it's quite good to keep them going. But yeah, I'm a bit schizophrenic in that way. I've got both.
I think it's one of the benefits of running your own practice your own way is you can pick and choose what you do when you've got a successful model, which you evidently have. What would you say you've learned along the way that's helped you to get to where you are now?
So much. As I say, the networking, to be good at networking, listen.
Yeah.
Really listen to, and just talk to anyone. No one's going to do anything, bad. Just make sure you go up to people and approach people. Don't sign up on the franchisee front. Don't kind of rush into signing anybody because they might not be a good fit. You have to make sure they're a good fit. And
sorry to interrupt you, but that works the other way around as well, doesn't it?
oh yeah, yes.
Thinking of joining a franchise, whether in the
Absolutely.
accountancy sector or elsewhere, don't just jump at it and assume everything will work out well.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't overreact when things go wrong, because things will go wrong. They always go wrong. Well, often go wrong. Not too often, hopefully, but that's just life and being in business. So try to put things in perspective when that happens. Deep breaths, sleep on it, all that. I think it's, especially when you're on your own, we're here in the sole practitioner world. It's very easy to feel lonely, feel as though you're the only one suffering all of this. So don't over egg the bad stuff. Focus on the good things. I mean, especially like even with the mix of clients, there's going to be the odd client who might be giving you a hard time that week. Focus, remind yourself of all the nice ones who aren't like that, because it can get to you at times. I know that, and I see elsewhere there's lots of stories at the moment, people really feeling overwhelmed, and I think we've just got to get the perspective, hang in there, and carry on with all the good things that we're all trying to do. Really.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love
I mean,
that.
interesting. I mean, in terms of being able to sort of cope with everything that you're doing, do you have specific structures? Obviously you do, and softwares and all of that good stuff. What do you use in order to keep the panic at bay then?
Well, the model is quite pared down, so that we recommend bookkeepers to clients to deal with the day-to-day numbers. So that takes a whole load of pain away. So and we want bookkeepers to do as much as they want to do. So we focus on the more, what I would call the true chartered accountancy end of things. So the business advice, tax advice, the stats. And it does help spread that load, actually. So making tax digital is the classic current example, isn't it? And I think there's a lot of fear and anxiety. I've allied it to VAT, because if someone's registered for VAT quarterly, then whoever does the VAT returns can do the MTD return, as far as I'm concerned, the income tax return rather, the MTD income tax stuff. And that sits in my head more with bookkeepers than anybody. So why are we, that should be a kind of routine bookkeeper-y service, and bookkeepers are very good at that. I think they're great, but they should be used for what they're good at. And we shouldn't be getting sucked into all the horrors of when things don't work there. Bookkeepers are, they do the same thing many times over.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear, actually, because I mean, obviously we have lots of chats with bookkeepers and accountants, and there's always that conversation about whether bookkeepers are, perceived to be as important or whatever. And I mean, just from what you said there, it's obvious that in the model you use, they're absolutely vital, aren't they? Which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, we do have some clients who want to do their own VAT returns, for example, and they want to do their own software, fill in their, the numbers, and then I sort of recommend someone to tidy it up at the year end. So we tailor it to what the clients want and tailor our fee accordingly, because everyone's different, and we work with all the different softwares. So if nobody needs to change software, I mean, if you're a client and you're okay with, say, Xero, but you want to change accountants, you shouldn't be forced to change to QuickBooks or whatever. I find that quite an odd thing to require them to do, because it's wrought with problems. And I know that's some people's model, but we are able to stay a kind of away from all that.
Agnostic, software agnostic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to be fair, I had this conversation with somebody online. Yes, oh, it was you, Philippa.
Me, it was me. Yeah, the circularity of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the point is there are some accountants who've chosen, and maybe bookkeepers, but some accountants too, who've chosen to only work with clients who use QuickBooks
Yeah.
or Xero or Sage or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they've chosen that, they're probably in a position where they can afford to only take on clients that are already using their preferred software.
Yeah.
And if the client is particularly wedded to their software, they will look for someone like that, because, as you say, switching can be so much of a pain. Not, if it's the simplest of bookkeeping cases, it doesn't matter. But if you've got a particularly sophisticated bookkeeping operation, absolutely, a decent business owner isn't even going to consider switching, and nobody should be encouraging them to switch just for the sake of the right accountant.
You're getting some love here,
Yeah.
Paula. People are saying thank you very much for highlighting the good work us bookkeepers do. So that's nice. Yeah, it's true though, and I mean, it's lovely that this is an episode where, you know, if they're thinking about their own business, then, you know, there's somebody here who is very much open to that sort of thing. So that's great.
we recommend bookkeepers all the time, and that's, you know, that's what we want to do. Keep it all honest. There's no commission exchanging hands or anything like that. If we think if you're a good bookkeeper, we will recommend you to clients.
Love it. And what makes an ideal client for you or for an on-the-spot accountant practice?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I suppose our typical client is your husband-wife limited company. That's where we're mostly at. And I did start out mostly wanting to do businesses, which could be sole traders and partnerships, and indeed we've got plenty of those as well. And we've also got plenty of large limited company, not well small, but at the larger end of small, and that we can very happily look after as well, who have got external investors as well. So they've done very, very well actually. We've got some good success stories there. So we focused on that. Then I very quickly learned that many directors, shareholder directors, business owners seem to have a second property, a rented property or two, because they quite liked it, or they'd inherited one or something. And then of course the property tax got complicated as well. But even before that, I thought, oh well, I need to kind of look at this, and this has got to dovetail in with the advice we're giving on income from the limited company. We need to focus on it. And I've done loads of property tax in the past, because the 4 billion turnover company was a distribution company, so there was loads of property issues, warehousing. So I've always been, and I did at KPMG, had a large property client. So I felt very comfortable going into that space as well. But it made sense. It wasn't just for the sake of it. And of course, now we've got quite a few landlords, so landlords only, and we've got higher rate taxpayers, and the 100K threshold, of course. People really need us to just keep an eye on things, even if they're just a simple employee now. And more of them, it's all playing into our hands, to be honest. You know, more and more of them are going over 100K, and the tax codes are invariably wrong. So, you know, HMRC comes along and demands money, so they'd rather keep up to date with their codes so they don't get a bill at the end that they weren't expecting.
Sounds great. So this is all sounding very smooth and lovely, and you've obviously been in business for a fair while with a lot of experience. So what sort of mistakes have you made that kind of people will be able to learn from, without sort of showing dirty laundry or anything, but what should people be careful of?
I wonder if this one's come up before, but this is where I coach franchisees quite a lot, is not to underprice.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that clients want a fixed fee, so we're obviously taking a bit of a call at the beginning and then we review it after a year. But how many hours is this going to take? So we have an idea of what our hourly rate is or should be and the hours. It's very tempting at the beginning in order to sign someone up to undersell that and put your number way down just so someone starts with you, signs up with you, and you'll never get out of that, because you can't, there's only so much you can increase that fee by every year without it looking very bad. And you can try as the years go by, but there's no point being busy poor, as they say. And as you get more and more clients, they become a real opportunity cost to you, because you could be spending your time elsewhere. So I do get the urge to do that. We've all done it, and everyone does it to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean,
but try not to.
That it comes up quite a lot, but one of the things that I suspect having a franchise is kind of brand is going to be quite important for you. And
yes,
you know, when you look at obviously the business, and you know, it's very different, memorable. How did you approach that? Because I mean, that's something which I'm interested in and I work with my clients on, but it would just be nice for other people to understand whether there was any sort of learnings there.
Yeah, you kind of I've had pressures over the years to loosen it up a bit, you know, and not carry on with how I wanted it to be, which is sole practitioners working with bookkeepers and no staff. You know, I've had the pressures there, and I've had to stick to my line on that, because I know clients want to deal with the same person, the same one person. But in other areas, you know, listen to your team. So you've kind of got the heart of what you do, I suppose, but that doesn't mean to say you don't listen to people. And they've really helped me think about other things as time has gone on. So be open-minded, but stick to your kind of, what do they call it? Kind of your Brighton Rock or whatever. So what's written in your Brighton Rock is, or other rocks are available. So your stick of rocks. So stick with that, but allow, you know, different colours, if you like, around that. And you know, everyone, there's always something to learn. So other people have got their perspectives, and actually you think, oh, that's not a bad idea. You know, we'll do that. So I think always stay open-minded. Don't go too far off what you know actually works with your client, the clients that you're after. So there's a balance there, and you learn that a bit as you go, of course.
I think that's right, and that is, as you say, quite transferable, because it's relevant to everyone there, I think. Do you want to summarise what you see as making on-the-spot accountants and Paula unique there, Philippa, from what you've heard?
Oh, well, it's that. Yeah, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, I guess the franchise model is it's the piece that's really different from anybody else we've spoken to. And of course, with that, as you've said, you've got to have a framework and a structure and stick to it, and in the background have all of those processes and know what you stand for. And you were very clear about the types of clients that you go for, and you know, it's all about being able to replicate, isn't it? So you've got to have that message. It's got to be really clear and strong, so that, you know, the best franchise has to be recognizable and understandable and memorable. And it sounds to me, and from what I can see on your website, you know, there's a look and feel there. So, you know, over the years, I think it sounds to me like you've done a great job of kind of building up your own business, but then, as you said, starting to sort of find the balance. I mean, it's not easy, I wouldn't have thought. I would imagine that there's lots of people who can't do that.
I bet you are. And I love the fact this is our 50th interview, and you are distinct as, you know, having set up this franchise in the way that you want and made it successful with that clarity of focus. But also, I think because you had the idea right at the beginning about what you wanted to do and to achieve, and it's not something that sort of has developed over time. Obviously, it has developed over time, but the idea was there from the start, or from close to the start.
Yes.
I think that makes a huge difference. And as Philippa says, you know, kudos to you for the clarity on your website, both as regards the benefits to franchisees and the qualifications they need to have, the qualities they need to have to be franchisees. You know, over the years, not on the podcast, but over the years, I've spoken to a number of people who think they know what it takes to organize an accountancy franchise. And maybe they do, but it's taking them, mostly it takes them a heck of a long time to build up any substance. And that's because what they're offering isn't sufficiently attractive to somebody who feels that they could go out and do it by themselves.
That's I did pitch mine bearing in mind that they're all going to be experienced chartered accountants, so that's what we are very clearly, but therefore that means it can't be an expensive franchise, because they could just do it on their own. You know, there is that possibility, as you say. So it's very much pitched for someone who wants to be part of something bigger, with the tax edge as well, because they don't have the tax bit. And being able to help people do that, a bit extra tax advice without needing to go elsewhere.
Or come to the Tax Advice Network. I understand that. They've got you because you're a CTA.
And well, you know, it's as you know, there's so many different ways of working this, as you said at the beginning, that I can see other ways of doing things do work as well, for people. But we're all aligned under the brand, working together, and I'm very committed to looking after everybody's client on a kind of more regular basis, you know, as in it's closer to me, I suppose.
I love that. Well, sadly, you know, time gets the better of us, as it always does. If listeners have been fascinated and interested to get in touch with you, Paula, or to find out more about On the Spot Accountants, where can they go? How can they find out more?
They can go to the website onthespottax.co.uk, or very pleased to take emails, or find me on LinkedIn. Email is paula@onthespottax.uk.
And that's On the Spot Tax, despite the fact that the brand is On the Spot Accountants.
Yes, it is, Mark. Yes, that is true. I kind of did the tax bit to show that we were focused on tax, but obviously we are On the Spot Accountants.
Lovely.
And Philippa, how can listeners find out more about you and Insight 101?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, or my website, insight101.co.uk, and I support bookkeepers and accountants to stand out. And I think, Mark, you've just said what Paula has done brilliantly, which is have an idea and a strategy behind it, and then build that story. And not everybody can do that, but I'm somebody who can support you if that's the sort of thing that you're looking for. And why wouldn't you be? Because everybody needs to differentiate themselves. Certainly accountants and bookkeepers, of which there are many.
Indeed.
So Mark, tell us a little bit about how we can get in touch with you.
Online everywhere. I'm Bookmark Lee. Even the business card is a bookmark. LinkedIn, my website, bookmarklee.co.uk. Like Paula, my focus is sole practitioner accountants. More accountants than bookkeepers, because that's my background. It's the world I know. It's where I grew up. I've worked with, spoken to, written for hundreds, thousands of sole practitioner accountants over the years. And one of the things I've learned is that typically they find that running their own practice isn't that easy, and many feel quite isolated. And if you'd like things to feel easier, better, or more on your terms, then that's exactly where I come in. Whether it's better clients, fewer headaches, or more profit, I'm always happy to have a chat, no strings attached. Some of those ad hoc conversations will lead to regular one-to-one working, or you might decide to join my online Soul Practice Club. which has a range of benefits. Or we might agree that one chat was all you needed. I'm happy either way. I just like to help support sole practitioner accountants. So do reach out and connect both with Philippa and me on LinkedIn, and do also please follow the podcast pages on LinkedIn and on Facebook.
So sadly, that's all we have time for today. But thank you so much, Paula. It's been fantastic to speak to you. And thank you as well to our sponsors of the podcast, Pinnacle Global Group, your trusted outsourcing partner. Do check out their website and let their CEO, Mayank, know that you heard about Pinnacle on the Accountant Success Secrets podcast.
And thanks too to the Tax Advice Network, the easiest way for accountants to reach specialist tax advisors. Remember, there's no charge for using the website findataxadvisor.online, where you can also access their weekly tax tips written especially for general practitioner accountants.
So if you've enjoyed this episode, please share the love online, subscribe and leave a review on Apple, Spotify or YouTube, and let us have your feedback too directly. That would be great. It all helps to broaden the reach of the podcast. Do please contact myself or Mark if you'd be interested in being a guest. The spot is now available in August. Or if you'd like to recommend somebody that you'd like to hear from, then we'd be very, very happy to hear that too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Philippa. Thank you, Paula. I'm thrilled that you were able to come on today. Really wonderful. It's been a joy listening to you, hearing your story, and there's been some very valuable insights there for our listeners as well. There'll be another. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have let you say that. There'll be another episode of the Accountant Success Secrets next week with another fresh interviewee. So until then, or anywhere else we might meet online or in real life, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.